Yo, guys, welcome back to the Nevermind Polly podcast. My name is Matt. I'm your host, and we chat to rock and metal bands from around the world. And this week, I am sat with Alex from the band October Ends. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you, Matt?
I'm very well. I see you have a mutual love of the Stray from the Path in your t-shirt, which I'm going to start the podcast off by saying
Yes.
is a fucking great band. And also shout out Craig Reynolds for this lovely microphone doodah thing he's got set up. If the GOAT can have the best microphone in the game, it's like, well, I might as well have one as well. So October Ends. The new album, Phases, is out on the 28th, which is a few days away as we record this. The follow-up to Zodiac, if I've got that correct.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now? Because I think it's always an interesting time just before a record drops, because it's all that hard work and all that anticipation you've put into and craft and love, and then it's kind of like, and we give it to the rest of the world. And it's completely out of your control what happens from there on in. So how are you feeling generally?
Well, yeah, no, that's a good question. I've not really thought about how I feel too much, but I'm very excited. We're doing a show the same day, an album release show, and it's the first time we get to play any of these new songs live. And that whole process has been really exciting. You know, we've been in the rehearsal rooms, playing all these new songs, and that's just really nice because we're so used to having to play stuff from Zodiac and before that. So yeah, I mean, I really hope people are going to like it. The reception we've had to the singles so far has been good, but at the same time, I mean, I am a bit nervous because I know the record, as I know you've listened to it.
Yeah, absolutely, it's great. So,
thank you.
Personally, I think you've got nothing to worry about. But
okay,
the fan base, I mean, I'm not sure about your fan base as such, but fan bases in general can be quite savage. As we record this, Architects have just released their new record, and the fan base is pretty much divided straight down the middle of either we love this or we hate this, which again is a little bit silly because I feel like it's a knee-jerk reaction to initially, like, you listen to it once and you go, it's different from the last thing. And it's like, well, yeah, that's progression. That's how things work, you know? So I guess I'm in kind of a privileged position where it's like I've had a chance to listen to it, digest it, and kind of get to grips with it. It should be good. I think your fans will be happy, but somewhat. It's a little bit different from the last one, but again, it's a good different. It's kind of adding more strings to your bow rather than taking things away. At least I think so.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you think
really
that.
Cool.
I mean, that's how we see it. And we have been experimenting. I mean, the style is definitely different. Even our heavy style is a bit different, and it's a bit more of I would say it's more of a new metal vibe that we've been kind of leaning into. Like the last record, Zodiac, had a couple of songs like that, and we've kind of followed that direction. But yeah, there's such an array of kind of influences on this album. That's why I'm kind of nervous, because yeah, it could be a total Architects thing to our fan base where we split them. Maybe not so extreme, but
the thing is as well, I think with the previous records, you've definitely sort of leaned on these things. And again, I always feel like when you get an album just front to back, the front half is generally loaded with like the hits, the people are going to grab you in, and then towards the end of the album, things kind of tail off into a more expansive territory, as band dipping their toes and trying different things. And again, the last record had hints of where you've obviously gone on the new record. So I think I don't think it will become as a surprise, but hopefully people will be into it, which I'm sure they will be. I like to ask my guests kind of where they come from in terms of their musical sort of background, if you like. Yep. So you play guitar in the band, right?
That's right. And I'm the rapper of the band as well.
The rapper of the band, exactly. So I think... Yeah, no disrespect to the other members of the band, obviously, but I think you're the most interesting one of your kind of musical heritage, because it's a case of you play guitar, and you know guitars are heavy generally in music that you play, and also you rap. So it's kind of like two worlds colliding. Where does it all start for you?
Yeah, good question. I mean, for me, it starts a long time ago. I started learning as a teenager what to play guitar because all my friends at school did. And I didn't really want to do it at the time. because I was passionate about music. I just wanted to do it because my friends were learning guitar and I wanted to be better than
That's
them.
fair. That's fair. That's fair. A little bit
Uh,
of friendly competition doesn't go
yeah,
amiss.
yeah. Yeah, I've always been competitive and I've always wanted to be like good and try to be the best I can be at stuff. So
Mm,
that's how that started. And I really listened to a lot more indie
mhm.
when I was younger. Like my favorite band when I was 13, 14 was
Mm.
Arctic Monkeys. And then I
Okay,
started
yeah,
getting into heavier music. I found Trivium. You're wearing a Trivium
mhm.
t-shirt, which is
Absolutely. I
cool.
love
Got
it.
Kill Switch Engage. And kind of got into metalcore back then, and things. That's how I got into heavy music. But I've
Mm,
played a lot of different styles. I've been playing in bands since I was 15, 16. I used to play like a wedding band that I joined when I was 16. So I've been used to
sure.
playing like pop, soul, funk. I did a jazz
Amazing.
degree. Um, so I've played a lot of different music. And for me, I love a lot of styles. And
Hmm.
you probably hear that in phases actually, because we include a lot of styles.
Yeah.
And and but for me, my most recent passions in life and that have kind of been solid for a while have been in heavy music, intense, like heavy music
Hmm.
and rap music. I
For
really like
sure.
beats and I really appreciate, good rappers and good lyrics
Yeah.
and the whole vibe that comes with that as well. It's just a really cool vibe. And I think
Yeah.
it works with metal as well. So
Absolutely.
it's totally nice to bring them together. So yeah, that's where it comes from for me, I'd say. I also loved Linkin Park when I was growing up, and that was probably where it
Absolutely.
started. Because
I
that's
mean,
amazing.
they are like the, I don't want to say they're the OGs, but they pretty much founded that whole crossover thing. And
Hmm.
again, I'm a bit like yourself in a case of I like the majority of music as a whole. There's very few areas that I don't dabble in, but again, hip hop rap is something that I gravitated to when I was young. So, and looking at it now in like 2022, there is a lot of stuff like rap and hip hop and things like that. Their music can just be dropped at a drop of a hat. It's, a producer makes a beat. Sometimes even the rapper is the producer at the same time, makes a beat, raps over it, posts it. That's that done. Where I think rock music and metal music sometimes, again, because of the form in which it's made, can be a little bit longer. But I
Yeah.
think it's kind of cool that, again, I think I've said this on previous podcasts that rock music and metal music is getting more of a resurgence, which is cool. And I think that October Ends could be at the absolute perfect point of which you go, okay, so rap has always been massive. Like, there's no denying that that's always been the biggest genre in, as
Yeah.
apart from pop, I'd guess. But then metal is on this resurgence as well. Putting them together, you could blow people's minds, essentially, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. And I think there's a few bands doing that are kind of in a similar niche to us that are experimenting more and mixing other styles in and kind of keeping the genre fresh. I think there's been a lot
Absolutely.
of metal that's kind of been stale for a while, or maybe just hasn't changed a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it obviously sounds better, production's better, people know how to mix better and make and there's easier access to good guitar tones, good
Yeah.
drum sounds and samples and all that stuff. But in terms of style, I think that a lot of metal has been kind of stale, and it feels like a really exciting time to me right now because there is a lot of bands doing new stuff. Like Sleep Token, really like them. A band called
Absolutely.
Siamese, they're
Yeah.
really cool. There's more, I just can't think right now, but yeah, I really
It's
like.
all good. And again, like I think the molding of genres. So my favorite band of all time is Alex Hek, and
Yes.
they pretty much have said from day dot that they don't give a shit about genres. Like, and I think that's such a good template for any kind of band to build on and say, well, if it sounds cool and it's what we're into, which essentially is the reason why you should get into a band because you want to do it with a group of friends or whatever it may be, as opposed to mass appeal to audiences and whatnot. Um, it's kind of cool. So it is cool that October Ends kind of branched out into these different areas that you're actually passionate and interested in. Because I
Yeah.
think 4 people, 5 people could get in a room and just make a very standard rock record. Lots of very standard rock records are released every year, but if you genuinely have something inside you that's passionate about it, it comes out. And I think that is very true of this record and band. So I would like to know, do you remember the first album that you purchased with your own money?
I do, actually.
Go on.
It was the self-titled album A7X by Avenged Sevenfold.
That is a great record as well.
Yeah,
Are you still a fan of that album? Of that album particularly?
I mean, that album for sure. Yeah, it's nostalgic, and I love. There's a lot I love on there. I love Afterlife, Critical Acclaim. I was obsessed with Critical Acclaim. I just couldn't get over how amazing the grooves were on that song, and
absolutely.
So yeah, when I hear those songs now, it definitely triggers something in me, and they're not a band I really listen to anymore.
For sure. I was going to say I remember getting I'm pretty certain. So this is going to take you back, kids, if you're listening and you're under the age of, I don't know, 20 or something. I went down to my local library. Remember when there was a thing? And like they had like DVDs and CDs you could rent. Anyway, the point is they had A7X as A7X. I remember getting that and sticking on that record, and Critical Acclaim comes in with that massive like organy piano at the very beginning, and then they're just that scream and that screeching guitars, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is sick!" I mean, I'm pretty certain the first album I remember, it wasn't even an album; it was a single, was "Like Toy Soldiers" by Eminem. So mine's a little different, but
nice. Yeah, I do remember that though. Yeah, that was cool.
It is all cool. So in terms of writing the actual songs that you guys play, there's a lot of intricacies and lots of moving parts. So how do you actually create a song for you guys? Is it a case of you all get in a room and just jam it out, or do you kind of all individually get your parts and then mold them together? How does it work?
It usually starts with an individual, and most of the songs are written individually. So there's songs where I have written, just taken the whole thing, I put some riffs together and had ideas for other sections that may include like synths and stuff like that. I mean, we always write instrumentals first. That always comes first,
for sure.
And yeah, Nick writes a lot of the songs, and he produces them as he goes.
Yeah.
So if he were to write a song, he would write the whole thing, produce it, put lots of nice sounds in there, and then we maybe edit after. Otherwise, if it was myself, I would kind of come up with how I want it to be, give it to Nick, and then we produce it from there, and then the lyrics and melodies would come afterwards. So yeah, we don't really collaborate an awful lot. It's only on the details, really. And
yeah,
I mean, I can't say that's true for every song, but for the majority, that's how it works.
For sure. And that's the thing as well. I think, like you say, there's lots of different elements that are in the songs and things. So it is, but that's what I think the brilliant thing is. And it's a credit to you guys as a band that you've all individually wrote your individual parts, and it's come together pretty much seamlessly, in my opinion. You think you'd have to really sit down and be a proper earworm and try and figure out where the seams are. But to me, they're not there because it just kind of flows. So I guess if you've got a particular riff and then Nick's got a particular vocal melody, you might have to just change one or two bits to level them out. Does that make sense? To kind of make it fit and make them flow. But
yeah, I mean, we always usually have quite a strong vision. And I think we have quite a shared vision, especially me and Nick, who've done most of the writing for Phases. And that's really helped because whatever we write, we kind of know it's going to work. And even when it's came to doing lyrics and vocals, we've both been able to work on the same song, come up with melodies and lyrics, and it's kind of worked because we just make sure we really know what it is we're going for and what we want to do. And we're quite honest with each other as well. If I think something's shit, I'm gonna say, and the other way around. So because of that, I think it's quite easy, and it's quite seamless, the fact that we do write together, but it's the same sound we're going for. And yeah, it's really important, that shared vision. It was really important for me. I mean, I only joined the band 2 years ago, and I know there already was a vision in place for the band. Like Zodiac was out, and we kind of knew what the music was like. But you know, for me, I've played in a lot of kind of tech, like prog bands before this, and like that's what I did before joining October Ends. And I had to really figure out, okay, how am I going to write that's going to work for October Ends? Because I don't want to come in and do my own thing. I want to make sure I understand the vision and that we're going to the same goal. So I basically just found out all of their influences and what they wanted to go for. Just made a huge playlist, and I just listened to it nonstop for like months until I started liking all that music.
Amazing. That is commitment to the cause. That is commitment to the cause.
But it was really weird. I kind of like forced myself to get into, like, I didn't like Bring Me the Horizon or Architects and those, you know, big bands of the scene at the time. And by just listening to them on repeat, like now a couple of my favorite bands. It's crazy that your taste can change so much.
Absolutely. And that's the thing as well. I think the world's been in such a weird fucking place, right? With obviously the whole big C, which no one likes to talk about, and everything else is still kind of around. But anyway, how was kind of the recording process compared to something you've done previously in other bands and things? Because it was so weird. And I call myself a normal person, like outside of a band perspective, recording records. It was kind of like, well, I'm a creative person, so I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to do Twitch streaming for a bit. I'm going to do all these things to try and fill the void of doing something. How kind of was the recording process? Because I guess to me, if I was to play an instrument, I play guitar, bass guitar very badly. It'd be a case of, well, I have this thing that I can just pluck away at and just sort of get some enjoyment out of. So how was the kind of recording process, and how did you find it?
The recording process was easier than what I've done in the past. And I think that is because of technology. In the past, where we've maybe used an amp and printed tones, you come up with a tone, you record guitars, and then you commit to how it's going to sound. And then if you want to change it, you have to do the whole process again, and it's a long process. The way we did things this time, and the way October Ends do things, is we record guitars direct into, you know, our computers, into an interface, into the DAW that we're recording into, and then we use digital like plugins and amplifiers, and it means it's a lot easier to edit. It's a lot easier to change your tones. Like if you're not happy with how something sounds, you can just change the tone whenever you like. And it really makes a massive difference. You can kind of tweak the way it's going to sound to really fit the mix. And because of that, it's been super easy, because I've been able to just sit and record at home.
Amazing.
So is Nick. And it's been awesome. I mean, I actually didn't record all the guitars on this album, because when I joined the band and started writing with them, I had a wrist injury, like both of my wrists, and I couldn't actually play guitar when I joined.
For sure.
So I was writing stuff just on my computer, using like notation software, so I could hear what it sounds like by a crappy kind of MIDI guitar playing back at me. And then I was writing the stuff and sending it over to Nick, who would then record it, and then it would make its way onto the track.
Okay, so you've done it kind of, you have done it, but kind of not yet. It makes sense.
Well, I got better at some point, and then I did record my parts and stuff. But while I was injured, you know, that was the only way I could make music, was to just write and have it in the computer. So that's how we did it, and it was really interesting, because I would come up with the ideas and someone else would record them.
I guess it's a kind of a different discipline, isn't it? Because it's a case of, if you're playing on a guitar, you know exactly what you're doing, because it's inside your head. You have the talent to play the guitar. Whereas the theory of actually putting dots on a sheet and saying this here, that there, and then playing it back, you're having to use, I guess, a different part of your brain to figure out, well, I know how to play it when I've got it in my hand, but how do I play it if I'm put? Do you see what I mean? On the theory side of it, I guess would probably be a little bit more different.
It is different for sure. It kind of works the other way around for me. So, I mean, I'm very good at notation, music theory, all that stuff because I've studied it. And what you find, or what I find anyway, is with the guitar, if you're sitting writing with guitar, you're kind of under the control of your muscles to some degree, because when you learn an instrument, you build up muscle memory so that if I'm going to play a C chord, my muscles just know, and you don't think about it. So when you are writing on a guitar, your habits and what you've played in the past can kind of get in the way and take over. So what I found was I was just writing, hearing things in my head, and then putting it in the computer on the screen. And it was quite liberating, because you hear something and the guitar, the instrument, the medium of which you play isn't getting in the way. It's purely in your head, and you can have a clearer vision and think a lot clearer about what it is you want. So, I mean, it comes with drawbacks as well, because I would write things and then have to figure out how to play it on guitar.
I was then about to say, did you stitch yourself up a little bit? Like,
I did.
You've done this super intricate thing and like gone, oh shit, I've got to try and play that now. Like
exactly. I did exactly that. Yeah. There's some bits that were like, holy shit, I can't actually play that. It's too fast. Or just the way the guitar is, you can't actually reach those notes easily. But in some way it's worth it, because you wouldn't have come up with that idea on the guitar, and maybe that note combination is really like tasty and what you want. And I mean, I'm happy to just go for it and push myself and be like, oh fuck it, I'll just put the practice in and learn later.
Absolutely. I actually, speaking about this, I saw a TikTok that I found quite amusing of a band. So it was a guitarist programming drums for a drummer to play, and then just sending a text back just saying, are you taking the piss? I'm not like an octopus. Like, because I get it. like, you know, if you're a different musician in a band going, oh, this sounds sick. And then you're going, oh yeah, my drummer's got 2 hands, not 8. Okay, that's going to be a problem. Like, so that's quite cool. That is quite cool. Obviously, you spoke about the release show that is happening on the day of this podcast going out and the day of the release of the record. What is kind of like playing live like for you guys? Do you get any kind of pre-stage nerves, or is it just a case of, right, fuck it, we know what we're going to do, we're going to go out and smash it? How do you kind of feel about playing live, and do you get nervous, I guess?
Yeah, I think we all get a bit nervous. Nothing crazy. When I started playing as a teenager, the nerves were insane, that it was really hard to play. But now I think there's always a little bit of nerves before you go on, but you know, we want that because it translates into excitement, and it is excitement really. It's just all mixed up with the nerves and the fact that, you know, you're going to play this show and there's no way you can get out of it. It's happening.
Absolutely.
And it's good though. It's kind of, it feels like when you get on stage and start playing that first song, is that you kind of explode a bit inside, because you have these nerves, they bubble over, and then it kind of burst out into excitement. And I love our show. There's a lot of energy on stage. It's like 6 of us running around. Like most of us are singing, talking on the mic, and the songs have a lot of energy. So I really, really enjoy our live shows, and I think they've got a lot of energy, and just overall very fun.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that I would say that I would really like to see in the future is you guys just adding like some pyro effects, because the way I envision it when I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I can see so and so doing that. I can see and I just imagine 6 people, part minus the drummer, obviously, running around going a bit mad, and it's like how cool that would look with like a big fucking laser show or a fire effect. Do you know what I mean? I just think it would be really fucking cool. So aim for the stars. That's what I say. Like, and you might land on a planet or something, however that analogy goes. Doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, fire for sure. Fire, it would be amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that was makes me laugh is they, like Parkway Drive, I've recently seen this last month just passed, and they're taking Rammstein for a run for their money, and they're just 5 lads from Byron. I mean, they're a lot further in their career, but the point still stands. They're just 5 lads who got together in a room and went, let's fucking do this thing, and now they're challenging one of the most intense fucking live bands ever. So that's super cool. What is kind of ahead for October Ends? Obviously, the album will be out as this podcast goes out, but what's kind of ahead?
Good question. So we're in the process of, booking more shows, tours, stuff like that. Just really want to spend some more solid time on the road, just getting out there and, putting phases on the road. Yeah. No other plans other than the album release show right now, but we will be working on that. We're always working on new music, so that also lies ahead for us. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure when we'd be looking at a release, but we really want to not be a band that releases every 4 years. I mean, 2 years minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep
it fresh in mind.
For sure. And I'm massively respect Architects for what they're doing. Like 2 albums year after year. That's awesome.
And that's the thing as well. I think as long as the album, whatever band you're talking about, as long as the album slaps or has like merit behind it and it's done with good intentions, then just do it. That's kind of what I think, at least, anyway. So I've given the Architects spin a couple of times, and yes, they're not going to make Hollow Crown again. It's just not the people they are, but what they have made is a really, really solid record. But, that's just for my money. So anyway, I like to ask, sort of as we come to the close, a couple of questions. And the first of which we've covered a little bit, and that is, with the world of Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, whatever streaming services, what are you currently listening to at the moment? Who's on your playlist? Anyone you would like to sort of, it doesn't have to be a new band, it could be an older band, someone you've gotten into recently, anyone who's been spinning recently?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, most recently this week, I've kind of been going all a bit like emo or Midwest emo and listening to
Nothing wrong with that.
American football.
Amazing.
Been going back listening to Paramore again, which is nice because I used to listen to them loads as a teenager, and it's kind of nice nostalgia. And they have some amazing songs.
Their new single is great, and they've just announced their tour as of today. They're doing like UK dates and stuff, which is super cool. Yeah,
sick. I didn't know that.
What a band. Yeah. What a band. What a fucking band. And that's the thing. I always try and say that to, like, it's the only question I leave in to try and catch somebody out, and they go, "Oh, I wasn't listening to the new Katy Perry song or whatever." And they're like, "Oh no, it's like Dying Fetus." They try and like cover it, but no, there's no such thing as guilty pleasures, in my opinion. So it's all good.
Yeah, but I really like that. Other than that, I've been listening to Dayseeker. Their new songs are awesome. I'm really excited for their new album. It's really cool. And a band called Never Tell.
Okay.
I don't know if you know them. They're kind of in a similar world to us. They've got a rapper and they're doing kind of metal with a poppy twist, I suppose, or a rap hip hop kind of twist to it.
For sure. And one of my other questions I'd like to ask is, as a guitarist and also a member of October Ends, if you could claim any song that's been released as your own, what song would you pick?
No, that is a really good question.
I like this question because you are a guitarist. So my mind would be going, well, what is the coolest guitar riff in the world? Because I want that one. But also, in October Ends, like, well, that would be cool to have that in our repertoire.
Yeah. Oh, I've got the answer to this one.
Go on.
So Northlane released a new album this year. I love it. It's my album of the year. Love Northlane.
Yeah,
so good. Sure. And it would probably be a song off that.
Amazing.
It would be, what's it called again? Cypher. Yeah, Cypher. Okay. It just sounds, the song's about Cypher, the dude from the Matrix, like the guy who betrays him and stuff. And it just sounds like you're in the Matrix, and it's got such a cool riff, and it mixes all this kind of industrial techno cyberpunky stuff. And I just think it's like, I think it's the coolest song ever. I wish it was ours.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And finally, what is the best thing about being in a band, in your opinion?
Best thing for me, like meeting people. I've met a lot of
Mhm.
people through being in a band, and
Yeah.
some of those people are fans or people
Mhm.
who might meet on social media who check out the band. But also, you know, being on the road, meeting other musicians. It just feels like being a band just opens up your network. And
For
there's
sure.
all these people I've met since being in the band, and it really enriches my life. So I think personally, that's the best thing.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Alex. It's been a great pleasure for me to have you on. And I'd like to do a shout out to your PR team for sorting it out and sending me the record nice and early, which is always nice because it makes life a lot easier for me. sometimes they go, and this isn't your PR company, just for the record. It's just some PR companies will go, okay, do you want to talk to us X band? I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to X band. Can I have the record? You can have it 10 minutes before. And I'm like,
For
okay,
real.
cool. Like that's really helpful to me. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's personal growth, but it's all good. Yeah, so shout out your PR team because they're fucking wonderful and everyone who works there. Thank you for you coming on. Phases is out now everywhere. Go check it out. Go buy it, stream it, download it, buy tickets for the shows when they get announced. T-shirts, stuff all online, I'm assuming, for those people who want to get that stuff.
Yeah, it's all on the UNFD store, our record label store. They have
Amazing stuff.
we have a new collection over there, so check it out.
Amazing stuff. And then lastly, anything you'd like to say to the fans listening at home or anyone just who doesn't know your band listening at home who's listened this far?
Anyone who hasn't listened, I'd say, you know, if you like rap and you like metal and you like if you like banging breakdowns and a bit of hip hop, then yeah, check out October Ends. I think it's worth a spin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it gets Matt's big seal of approval, which means nothing really. I've thought about this. I say this every podcast and I'm like, it means nothing really. It's just like a one man's opinion. But anyway, it's all good. Thank you so much for your time, my dude. Good luck with the album release. I'm sure it will go down a treat. As I say, I've been spinning it a lot, so it's fucking wonderful. Yeah, we will catch everybody next time. Thank you very much, my dude. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you. Bye
Cheers,
bye.
dude. All the best. Bye.